Welcome, everyone. Today is February 25th. Jim, you're on the line here?
I am.
Beautiful. We're going to do a Q&A session. We got somewhere between, 250 and 300 questions. I'm pretty glad we didn't put it out to the public side of the site. If we put it out to the public side, it would be, who knows, 1,000.
1,000 or two.
My email would have blown up.
Yeah,
so let's try to do as many as we can. Some of the questions were redundant. I haven't even picked them out. I'm just going to take them as they come. There are redundant ones, so we'll drop those. We'll try to do this as a blitz Q&A, and over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, we can fit in at least one or two more Q&As and get the bulk of the questions, get them answered. I do want to mention, keep your eye on the site. I've got an article, interesting turn of events. I guess it was yesterday. It looks like China and the Vatican are doing some type of a deal, and I've got an interesting theory on what that's about. So keep your eye out. That article should be out sometime on Sunday.
But it'd be good because my Uncle Monsignor will want to talk to me.
Okay, Jim, here's the first question. What keeps both of you, Bill and Jim, motivated to continue to put yourself out there to ridicule and risk?
The ridicule we've gotten used to. The risk would have been if Hillary was elected. The two of us would have been right now in a political re-education camp.
Well, Jim, you and I discussed just prior to the election, if Hillary won, we were going to basically this site would be 100% subscription, not free to the public, because we along with many others would be under scrutiny, and a law that is, or an executive order, I shouldn't say a law, but an executive order that's on the books, and I don't know if it's been reversed.
The fake news is a law voted now.
Right. That
actually became law.
That would have put us at risk.
Yeah, we are at risk. The law is still there. That's one of the things Trump hasn't thrown in the basket, because he thinks, and is quite correct, fake news was what was used to try and dump them. It's there, but who applies it is the question.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I completely trust the principles of the right not to use that as would be used by the left. I wish it wasn't. I wish the law wasn't there.
Yeah, fake news for Hillary was you and me. Fake news for Mr. Trump is CNN.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, he hasn't left that to be guessed. Also, we would be on a boat in international waters, probably a rowboat, and we would be doing this call with an ancient radio patch to telephone in order to get it out. 2
tin cans and a string.
That's the name of it.
Question, Jim. Please discuss Bitcoin again and its relevance going forward. Should we be investing in Bitcoin along with gold and silver? Cliff High is positive on Bitcoin. He also discusses a cashless world and his support for eliminating cash.
Want to take it? Want me to take it?
Let me just first say, Bitcoin, I guess, is over 1,200. It will probably...
Bitcoin went up significantly.
Yeah, it's probably going to surpass gold.
I would say there's a very real probability of that.
But the question is, in the end, what's it going to be worth? Will you be able to get to it? Like you've said before, Jim, anything and everything is hackable. And I would just ask the simple question, if we were to experience an EMP here in the United States, what does that do to your Bitcoin?
Well, basically, that's a bomb that goes off, and nobody sees anything different, except no computer works. In fact, nothing electric works.
Nothing electric. My 1968 GTO will work, Jim.
Yeah.
And my horse.
Your horse? Well, I'd be looking for you to come in it on back of that beautiful animal. But there's nothing behind it except a supposed scarcity, which there's no guarantee of. It had been very popular with money laundering and other transactions in the early part, but I'd say now it's much cleaner than it was before. I can't myself invest in something on the internet. I don't even like replying to financial things on the internet. The idea that if you can't hold it in your hand, you can't have it certainly suggests that Bitcoin is a high risk that might look wonderful for a while until you wanted to use it. The reason that Bitcoin survived is because this is the trial balloon for cashless society. Bitcoin is a trial balloon for getting rid of currencies entirely. Bitcoin would have been crushed a long time ago if it wasn't that it serves the best interest of a trial balloon for the New World Order.
I agree.
Bottom line, give me gold, man. Give me silver. Don't give me Bitcoin.
I agree, Jim. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Now, this is the flyer for the New World Order.
Okay, next one. I am still not understanding the liquidity crisis you speak about. Will you please go into further detail? For example, does it relate to? I'm not sure how this is written. It does. For example, does it relate to not enlightened physical currency relative to actual debt?
That would be a very interesting one to sit down for 2 hours and try and figure out.
I think what they're getting at is when we talk about, you've spoken about a liquidity crisis because there's simply not enough cash, currency, liquidity, whatever you want to call it, to service and pay the debt.
Absolutely. There's more debt than there is currency.
Equation.
There's more debt than currency.
Right. There's not enough liquidity to service and pay the debt, and the only way to create more liquidity is to create more debt.
Well,
it's a mathematical loop.
Yeah, that is the practical answer in light of what in fact has happened.
Okay.
And the question is, why in the world do you want to put your life savings in paper when paper does nothing but decline in buying power? Cars today. When I bought my first Ford, I paid $1,700 for it, and it was a brand new car. It even worked a little. But today you can go out and spend $50. You can get yourself a really fabulous Ford F-150, and man, you're going to pay money. $35,000, $45,000, $55,000. Let's keep going, depending on the bells and whistles. I mean, everything costs more. You go to the doctor. In South Africa, he charges $25. Over here, you should really know what the insurance companies get billed for 1 day in the emergency ward. I mean, if you were in intensive care in the emergency ward you came in emergency ward, front door intensive care for 2 weeks, you'd be broke.
But you know what, Jim? I would venture to say that 1 day in the emergency ward or in intensive care would be enough to bust probably 90% or a higher number of American families.
Easily over $100,000. Okay, easy. And look at if I would only go to the hospital if it hurt so bad that it was just unbelievable. Otherwise, I'd crawl home. Once you get in there, you can't get out. If you leave, your insurance is canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should really, if you want to go to prison and get stuck with a needle every morning at 4 a.m., go to the hospital.
Okay, next question, Jim. And this one's pretty easy, I think. The question is, aberration or the first true sign of a turned tide that the U.S. live spot price on gold was above Shanghai today, and I don't know what day it was that he wrote this. I believe Shanghai a week ago.
Today's Saturday, and where are we trading in the United States?
I think this was sent on the 23rd. I think
a lot
Shanghai
of times people get
open, but I know that Shanghai was closed for a week or 10 days time, and the spread between the two, you couldn't really tell because you couldn't get an updated Shanghai price.
The only way is to be on the telephone at the exact same time with one fellow shouting into one ear and one fellow shouting into the other ear. What is the bid and offer and last sale? It has to be simultaneous to be of any comparison whatsoever, and the statistics are far from simultaneous, far from being consistently correct, and basically a waste of time.
I will mention, even though it is a paper market, and because it's a paper market, it should never ever happen. COMEX actually did have some backwardation in silver. February was actually higher than March.
Well, what I'm saying is that this questionnaire seems to be looking for an arbitrage opportunity between Singapore and New York, Chicago.
Well, they're asking if it's a turn in the market.
If he's asking if it's a turn in the market simply has turned. The bottom's 1058. The high could be 50,000. That's the whole story. Everything else is noise.
Okay, here's a good one. Please explain the difference. This relates to GOTS. Please explain the difference between registering your stock shares in direct registration versus a certificate. Is each method equally safe?
Well, I played around with a lot of that. So the highest degree of safety is a certificate in your hand. I mean, there's no question about it, but there are huge risks. If you're prone to forget where your car keys are or what you had for breakfast, I would be very careful about holding certificates.
Don't forget the risk your house could burn down.
The one you had. Don't lose your certificate, especially in the manner of destruction of certificate, or they're going to want a bond anywhere up to 5% or more.
Right.
To reissue it, and the bond is permanent. In other words, you don't get out of it. They got 5% of whatever the value is. See you around.
Yep.
It is a skewed solution. Direct registration is registration at the transfer agent. Transfer agent is purely accounting. Now, a transfer agent might belong to another company, but all it is a list of names for the company itself to issue or cancel shares, to have the proper right number of shares outstanding, constantly correct. Direct registration is part of the company that does the count. So what you have there is basically your name, but what people don't know is don't ask your broker for a certificate because he can't get it for you. Now, the only one who can get you the certificate is the company instructing the transfer agent. So you take your stock and you ask for direct registration. Direct registration is confirmed to you just like a broker would confirm to you you bought a stock or sold it, or it will come on a statement. You call up the company, and if the company is cooperative, and many are and many aren't, you say, I want certificate, and that means, where I'm concerned, immediately order certificate sent to you, and then you're happy. It's the direct registration is reasonably better than holding the certificate. Holding the certificate, if you are willing to, or if you're mentally able to remember, is absolutely the safest way. And holding the certificate in something that can't burn down would be a great idea.
Yep. And I know that there was a couple of other questions similar to this, and it pertained to what just happened this past week or 2 weeks ago with CED, C-E-D-E.
CED, C-E-D,
right.
Yes.
Yeah, where there was actually, during a takeover, there was actually more stock tendered than existed.
Hey, no problem in today's world. I mean, counterfeiting is legal. It's called derivatives.
My opinion, and I'll just say, I hold almost all of my certificates. I've held all of my certificates. I started in 2005, thanks to you, Jim, and took almost every certificate in 2006 and got on a plane and left the country.
Well, you had followed the suggested instructions all the way, but I would say my certificates are about 5 feet away from me.
Mine are about 25 feet.
Okay, and you got to go through the armory first, and before you even get near the armory, I really want to introduce you to my big dog.
Yeah, I was going to say the German Shepherd Sentries.
Yeah, well, mine is a mutt of long lineage as a junkyard guard dog with no manners whatsoever.
Oh, and this is not a question. This is just a comment and a thank you to you, Jim. You were jumping up and down back in 2006 saying, get off a margin.
Yes.
And I thank you for that. And
well, I thank me for it, too, from the standpoint save my bacon.
Yeah.
That margin guy is a bad guy. The only time I liked it was when it was my own firm and he worked for me and I could fire him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next one, Jim, and we got several questions like this. With the change in administration, do you expect less manipulation in the gold market by the Exchange Stabilization Fund?
Well, if I could borrow National Security Agency's efficiency and wiretap, I would love to listen to the instructions of the President of the United States or the Treasurer, who are the ones in charge and the only ones who can appoint an agent or make orders in that account. Because to stop manipulation, Trump only has to make one call, and it's over.
Well, Jim, I would suggest, I think it came out yesterday, Andrew Maguire did an interview with King World News, and he was talking about tightness in the physical market. And it seems to me that physical gold has got to be supplied in order for the scheme of dumping paper contracts on the market. Some of them
absolutely
actually have
correct.
to be settled.
Absolutely correct.
And I think that's where it will, and as you've said and I've said for quite some time, it's going to be the physical market that takes over and makes COMEX relatively unimportant and not.
How about the Vatican? The Chinese and the Russians, as major gold holders, all say 50,000 bid, 50,000 offered.
I agree. He who has gold makes the rules.
Yeah, and any price they choose, all they have to do is gold has one price. Bid and offer at the same price. Ready to buy anything you want to sell, ready to sell anything you want to buy. And that's the way gold will hold its price. Everyone thinks reset equals edict. Well, no, it doesn't. It isn't that the gold shall now sell at 3,000. Well, if you still got the paper market operating, you just invited yourself into the battle of your life. if you own the physical, and if the physical is the determinant of price, and the major physical owners say, okay, 50-50, that's what we're doing, there's no fight at all. That is the price. Mm-hmm. The paper entities will all be trashed. Gone, finished, broke, oblivion.
Well, we've talked about this before. You could see paper gold at $10 offered, no bid.
What's a contract worth that can't settle?
Zero.
Okay, so everybody says, damn, I'm below. If you short gold, you make a fortune. You do not. Your cup is empty. In order to make a fortune, you got to settle. How? The answer is no way. The answer is end of paper market, now 100% margin, meaning physical market.
Right. Okay, next one. There are hundreds of billionaires worldwide and more. They can't all be buying gold. There isn't enough. What other assets? What other assets are they moving into?
Well, I mean, that's not a tough question. Just turn your TV on and go to Makeham's auto auction. I turned down I used to collect cars, and I went to a place in White Plains, and he had a Shelby Coupe in there, and that was one of I think they had 3 of them that were made for the Le Mans race. And I said, how much? He said, $100,000. I said, you're out of your mind. And I walked out. Well,
another $3 million.
About $10 million now, maybe more. If I bought all 3, can you imagine what the price would be?
Whatever you decided it was.
Whatever I decided it was. And you know what? Some damn fool would buy it. Now, as far as that comment on gold, there's not enough. We go back to think, if there was only 1 ounce, there's enough. It's a question of what is the price of it.
Exactly.
Okay?
I would add one thing that many billionaires are doing is they've been building their own, if you want to call them, bug-out shelters.
I think Whoopee Islands.
Buying their own islands, buying whatever.
Yeah, but those things that are written about them, about buying these islands, those islands got a bad reputation, man. They're Whoopee Islands, not bug-out islands. If you own your own island, where's the law?
You are the law.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next one. Cliff High sees things to unfold chaotic from March to May with the dollar and bonds. Are you still aligned with his perspective?
I'd say leave your mind open. The eventuality of the dollar, yes, but there are such complex cross currents taking place, like the French election, that could sting the euro, almost possibly in a terminal sense.
Right.
Currency values are mirrors
of each other.
Yeah, because everybody thinks that's how you value. Nobody, and nor is there any index that covers day-to-day change in buying power. So even though the dollar wouldn't be going up, it could be going up versus the Dow. We're trading back to the French franc. Or the French franc is going. So there are so many cross currents that could take place in the murder of the euro that could make the dollar look like the dollar look very strong. You could have, for a period of time, a competition between which is going higher every day, gold, silver, or the dollar, because they would all be going up.
And Jim, here's another scenario, and I fully think this will happen at some point. Once credit ceases and you have a closure of markets worldwide, a closure of a financial holiday, banks are closed.
Yes.
I can see dollar bills, $20 bills, becoming very valuable for a week or 2 weeks.
For a very short period of time, no question. Example, Venezuela.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that there's no currency.
Yeah, systemically, meaning if this was to happen globally, the things of value would be anything from a nice roll of toilet paper to a can of beans.
Yep. Yeah,
I mean,
think
there's things you can do right now that will not in any way hurt you, that are not investments, that the poor people who are all taking a swim in California as the dam breaks wishes to God they had done. A bug-out bag, okay?
Yep.
Just as simple as that. A plan. A plan would be nice. I got a plan. You got a plan. How many of the listeners have a plan? Where are you going? Whose door is going to open for you in a place where nobody else wants to be? Along for us in the north, the Canadian-U.S. border. Okay? I'm a 10-hour ride from the bloody hinterlands. That's where, and the hinterlands is where I would be.
Got to have a lot of wood cut, though.
Well, obviously. And now you can pay somebody to do it. That big problem is that if you want to be a subsistence liver, you need to be strong. Okay, yep. I mean, when I say strong, I don't mean slightly strong. I mean SEAL type strong.
Right.
And I'm afraid that my days of running a race with a SEAL are over.
Well, Jim, just an observation, because we're now what 10 years, 12 years. 12 years. I'm guessing you started with GOTS in 2005.
And what was that on? 2005.
Is that correct?
I started in 1954.
No,
okay.
I understand, but publicly telling people to get out of the system.
Oh, yeah, the GOTS principle, 205.
Okay. So
and
that was 12 years into that.
That was, yes.
We still have people continually asking about it. I mean, I'm just going to guess that of the people that read what you've written, hear what you said and say, I'm guessing maybe it's 15, 20, 25% of the people have actually acted and created a plan.
You're very high.
It may be high.
Bill, you're very high. Try 1%. If everybody on the telephone right now would honestly write to Bill on a piece of paper and tell them whether or not they have a plan of where to go,
right?
Whether or not they have the needs to live for a short period of time in a bag next to the front door. I mean, even the subsistence livers have a bug-out bag. Well, why would some guy in the Arctic Wildlife Preserve need a bug-out bag? How about if his cabin burned down in the winter and it's 50 below zero? He don't have a bug-out bag. He's a dead man. He doesn't have a tent. He doesn't have a sleeping bag. He has no food. You'd last maybe 15, 20 minutes. How about the people in the flood? If they had no plan, where are they living? In a local school?
Well,
on a cot.
If I lived downhill from that dam, my family would not be there. I mean,
no, of course they wouldn't.
I can't believe anybody, went back thinking, okay, it's safe. It just
no, you wait until it's dry. Okay, for starters. Just for starters.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that people poo-poo and tell us we got our tinfoil hats on again is the difference that you and I have discussed many times between a contrail and a chemtrail. Mm-hmm. You go out on a Saturday and look up in the sky, and you'll see international jets going by, and you'll see white color behind that due to the temperature, engine exhaust, etc., which, in about 5 minutes or maybe less, disappears. You'll also see tic-tac-toe that will go away. Okay, tic-tac-toe that will go away is experimentation with weather control, basically using barium. It's there should be a science board that rules on these crazy scientists before they start doing things, even if what they're doing is all academic. The accelerator buried over in Europe between France and Switzerland. We'll be lucky if that thing doesn't suck us into a black hole.
Yeah,
the things they're playing with there are ungodly, and all have at one point a theory of weaponization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that CERN is definitely scary.
Yeah, they did not get all those billions for an economic process. So you got things going on that you need to be able to relocate. Well, hell, I'm right. If you flew a plane over my house, and then 5 minutes you'd be over the an atomic plant. I'm 5 minutes by air from an atomic plant, and that's most unsettling. What happens if we had an earthquake? And it's built on a fault. I mean, it's an absolutely most amazing thing. If you're going to build an atomic plant, where would you not build it? On a fault. But this one is directly on a fault. That's the one that could wipe out New York.
Yeah. Well, Jim, next one. What might be the powers that be, the George Soros and the 300 plan with regards to China? Or actually, it's not George Soros. It just says the powers that be, the 300. What is their plan with regards to China and Russia accumulating vast amounts of gold? Their New World Order plans have been underway for well over 100 years, so how does the dearth of gold in Western nations serve their agenda?
Control.
Exactly.
It's control. I mean, the final control is, do you have wealth that can be spent for necessaries? And if you don't, you are controlled.
Yeah, this is I guess a pre-teaser to the article that I'm going to put out tomorrow. As far as the lack of gold, the joining of China and the Vatican, presumably two, number one and number two sources for gold. The dearth of gold in the West is going to destroy the standard of living. And there's your, if you recall last year, we heard the Pope say, we heard President Xi say that they wanted a more fair, balanced, and equalization, if you will, of standards of living.
Yeah, that means they take your money and they give it to an undocumented person.
Right, they're taking your standard of living and giving it to someone whose standard of living is below average.
By the way, I have to confess, I have a dog who's undocumented, but I really don't want to get too far out. Chihuahua, half Chihuahua, half undocumented.
Okay. Not sure if you saw this interview or not. I did. Robert David Steele was recently interviewed by Greg Hunter. What do you think of his assessment, his warning, and his memorandum for the president?
Well, I could comment on it if I had read it or saw it. Very sorry I haven't. But okay, I will say that Hunter is a hero.
I think the man is pretty much on target. He did say that President Trump is obviously in danger. There's a split behind the scenes in our government. He did talk about the rampant pedophilia worldwide, and I mean, I've spoken about it pretty much all year long. I believe truth bombs are going to come out, and we're internally within the government, we're on the verge of a civil war.
Yep, and that has to do with Whoopi Islands. Yeah,
that too. Exactly. Yeah, Epstein.
Yep. Well, all of that is just absolutely correct. And the interesting thing about Trump is any of us that have ever been successful or popular in the business can give him a call, and there's a fair chance he'd answer. We have a real opportunity here, but in that case, so do the elite have a real possibility of joining the ranks of the guys climbing over the wall. they'll do everything and anything possible not to let that happen. The thesis that Trump is part of some conspiracy theory and owned by some major people that you mentioned just back about 5 minutes ago. The guy is as rich as cream. He has got an ego that could be bigger than the planet. He really believes in what he's doing. You couldn't buy him if you tried. The possibility that you could either blackmail him into something or buy him doesn't mean it. I mean, a guy who says where he does the Dundee test to women just to make sure couldn't care less. So the idea is that he has problems. Man, he has problems, but he feels superior to his problems. And somehow, if you feel superior to your problems, you might be like excuse me for saying, Hitler, that you couldn't kill even if you bombed a little meaning.
Yeah.
There's a long time of many attempts on his life, and nothing happened. You could be like Inspector Clouseau in the men's room, with two assassins in the other booth when he bent over to tie his shoe, and the two assassins shot each other.
Right.
Okay. So he's got big problems, but that doesn't take Einstein to figure out.
I think the litmus test will be answered by Jeff Sessions.
Well, we none of us know, but I do know the man, and I just don't think he can be bought, manipulated, blackmailed. If they showed a picture of him with some beautiful-looking woman, he would be proud of it.
Right.
Okay? I mean, other than his wife.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. I mean, of course, your wife would kill you. But I can only say this because I'm a bachelor, not by choice, but by circumstances.
Yeah.
You can't blackmail a guy. You can't buy him. Okay. He thinks of himself in the realm of the Almighty, and who knows? He might be mighty.
Well, Jim, don't you think that if there was dirt, it would have come out during the election?
Oh,
because they tried everything they could.
They tried yesterday, the day before. The war is still on. The liberals have exposed themselves as extraordinarily violent, okay, and not in the least balanced and accepting. The war will be on tomorrow, and he loves it. What they don't understand is this man loves a good fight, or 50 of them at the same time.
Right.
And he's not the media is not going to stop trying to take him out, and he isn't going to stop educating the public that the media is full of crap. Who will win? I don't know, but I got an idea he might, because the public is sick of this stuff. We all are. We've had it. It's over. The war is on. The revolution has begun.
Here's a question from me, Jim.
Yes.
What did you think of President Trump's banning CNN and the New York Times from the press room?
I wouldn't let him in. Why have you ever heard give information to the enemy? Pander to the enemy?
Right. No, I agree. My first thought was that's great because they make stuff up as they go anyway.
Well, the journalists will all stand together. You're going to find Trump being given a couple of good lambastes by Fox, okay?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, because you are stepping on sacred ground, sacred to the journalists, nobody else. Journalists are the only ones in the world that can spread fake stories totally impervious to any kind of downside. And the guys who own it are the meanest men on the planet. So, it isn't going to stop. But Trump isn't going to stop. He loves to fight. Now, I'm half Irish, so I completely understand that. It doesn't matter whether you get your head beat in. You fought a good fight. That's fun.
Well,
that sounds nuts, but if you're Irish, you understand.
Journalism died.
Of course it died. It's a tool it's a tool of globalistic one world thesis.
Yeah, it's a propaganda tool.
Yeah, that's good for Goebbels. I mean, if we lose, they're gonna have a huge golden statue to him.
Well, the man must be smiling wherever he is.
Well, he's down in hell, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. All right, next question, Jim, and I don't know this name. Maybe you do. Are you aware of Deagle's population change prediction by 2025?
I'm aware of the population predictions, but eagles don't mean a whole lot to me.
Deagle with a D. But anyway, and it finishes by their prediction would make sense based on Cliff High's climate forecasts.
Well, Cliff said some things that sound real crazy, but come true. Okay.
Well, hey, I mean, he was talking about Antarctica.
Yeah.
And when it was crazy stuff, and then all of a sudden you see people like John Kerry on Election Day in Antarctica.
Well, yeah. Well, you know that if you went back into the time of Nostradamus, you wouldn't understand a word the guy was saying.
Right.
Okay. We may not clearly understand what Cliff High is saying, except in a serious documentary on TV. He was called the modern Nostradamus.
Well, Jim, I would suggest that we very well could have some real crazy climate change.
What do you think's happened already? Where did the winter go? I got a Kubota tractor for plowing. I plowed twice only because I was frustrated.
You plowed
okay.
in half, huh?
And as usual, I plowed something important down, like my front steps. But that's beside the point.
I would add to that: forget about climate change.
Happens every million years,
From a financial standpoint, you could have mass deaths all over the world just because the credit system shut down. And how
about the power went out in New York City and Chicago?
Well,
they'd be dying like flies.
Yeah, no, I agree. But farmers are not going to get goods to market without credit,
without distribution facility,
or distribution.
Without that truck
exactly.
picking it up.
It could be a financial event, but yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be a culling of humanity.
Well, your health plan's pretty good too. They get us geezers out real quick. And if you ever do really have a board that decides whether you live or die, prepare to die.
Okay, that's a duplicate question.
Now that the culling is a reality, okay? And the first guys to go is me and you. Me first.
Okay, Jim, here's the next question. Dear Bill and Jim, I know you feel Trump will preside over a bankruptcy, but in light of his recent statements regarding how well the stock market is doing because of him and that people still have their hands on the manipulative buttons, don't you think the possibility of bankruptcy being put off for some time? I do.
Well, that's that basically means that whoever asked this question spends the morning reading MSM. You've got to understand that as currencies collapse, stocks will rise for some period of time, and I'm sure Trump knows that. He is a master of bankruptcy and has just taken over a bankrupt world, being the leading nation in the world right now militarily, and willing to use it at the drop of a pin. I mean, there's two things: you can be the strongest in the world, but if you're not willing to use it, what good is it? So we do have the right person to understand how to straighten a bankruptcy out. But if you think life is going to be delightful and GoPro is going to 1,000, I think you need professional help.
Well, yeah, I think it's important to discern between a cement-making company and a brokerage house or a bank.
Yeah, a financial entity caught in the global web, yeah, is a little bit different than making cement. But historically, every time this happened, every single place, the stock markets go wild on the upside.
Right, you have an initial crash in the market, and then they go up, but you end up losing roughly 50% of your purchasing power.
If not 100. And what have we had in 07-10? A crash.
Right.
And then what have we had? A market that went straight up. And what happened now? It's only a few stocks on low volume, and they continue to go up.
Yeah, and I think we still have another credit event coming.
And central banks are the primary buyers of a certain group of shares,
right?
That continue to give the market the aura of solidity.
Yep.
But it's not everything going up. You can find that very easy by being a stock picker and see what happens.
I would add, and we've actually heard him say, we've heard President Trump say, "I'm the king of debt." And if you're the king of debt, it means you've got a lot of assets with debt against it. What would be the best thing in the world for Donald Trump, personally?
Well, he certainly is the king of the debt by being POTUS. I love these new names they've come up with. President of the United States. Why? Because we are the most indebted thing in the world. So what is he? The president of debt.
Right.
Where he's concerned, yes, he uses a lot of leverage in his own stuff, and but I don't think that's what he meant. He certainly wouldn't call his own company and his position the king of debt unless he wanted to see it collapse tomorrow. Another thing is, everybody's screaming and yelling at him for not liquidating his company. How do you know he isn't? Because if you announced that you were going to, as a real estate baron, liquidate all your real estate, you couldn't possibly do it.
Right, the bids would go away.
There wouldn't be any. Let's say he's playing it straight, but the last instruction he gave to his family before he became president, before he was elected, is sell this stuff.
Yes.
Okay? Or I'll kill you. And that was it.
Well, Jim, what I was getting at was, okay, if he really believes he's the king of debt, what would personally benefit Donald Trump better than anything else? Getting rid of the debt, right? And how do you hyperinflate?
Yeah, getting rid of the debt. But if he was in his own situation laden with debt, he'd have his own problems, and he is laden with debt.
Yeah.
My bet is that he doesn't know because he's not supposed to know. He's playing the game legally, but the kids are selling anything to anybody who wants to buy.
Okay.
You don't have to be a genius to do that. I was called on by Volcker as part of the contract to liquidate the HUD's position of silver. Liquidate doesn't take any brains. It just takes a bid.
Right, a process.
Yeah, if there happens to be a bid, you fill it.
Yeah.
Finished. Done. You might use finesse, but you don't overdo it.
Well, Jim, here's a question. I kind of chuckled when I first read it, and almost not going to say the question, but I've got an answer for it. When will gold double in price? In your
tomorrow afternoon. Or if we want to go like some of our friends, 4:30 to 4 Fridays from now. What the hell difference does it make as long as it happens? Yeah,
it's my response was it's pointless because what you're asking is when will the dollar collapse?
Yeah, you want us to be psychics. Call up that lady got locked up for being a fake psychic, and ask her. Don't bother me.
Here's a timely question. both James Turk and Andrew McGuire mentioned about a possible short squeeze in COMEX silver that could occur during the present option expiry. Andrew also thinks a metal reset decision already has been made for the second quarter of 2017.
Well, you know how I feel about reset by edict. It doesn't exist. If he's saying by a certain date, a market mechanism may affect a much higher price, and the physical market will be the entity determining price, then I'd say fine, predict, go ahead. But reset by prediction, by edict, that's a little outlandish.
I'd like to comment on the first part of it regarding COMEX. I've all along believed that if you have 100 paper ounces representing 1 real ounce, or 500 paper ounces representing 1 real ounce, you're going to have a failure. It's just
yes, that unless you could lie real good, or the government has really had silver and could loan it to you.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, silver is more likely than gold because
silver's gold on steroids.
Right.
It will go up faster and down faster. And if we're right, there will be no down, but the ratio will, find a level that is modern and stay there.
And Jim, we're getting close to going over a full hour here, so why don't we end with this one? We got half a dozen questions regarding the TRX annual general meeting. I'll let you comment on that, and then we'll.
Well, what I did today was hold a conference on GoToMeeting, which turned out to be a bit of a technological disaster for many. I guess we're not all IT, not capable of IT knowledgeable. I'm going to do it again on Monday at 12 o'clock. And I'll do it again on Tuesday if I have to. And I'll continue doing it until people understand that there was a definitive reason not to record. The decision was a wise decision. And understand the battle that I've been in the last year, and the war that I've been fighting for more than 4 years now, and the fact that I firmly believe it's behind us, and I think the company will be seen to be born again. That's my opinion. Quit doesn't go in my vocabulary, and no Irish Jew ever gives up. Okay.
Well, Jim,
so the chances of me retiring and going quietly to the Arctic Wildlife Preserve is a myth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was at the AGM. I'm a shareholder, and I was happy to hear what was said, and I would highly recommend people join in on Monday or join in on Tuesday. To get your questions answered.
Well, they'll get their questions answered in hard copy in a short period of time, and there's nothing wrong with saying that we are in the process of finalizing a project-specific 43101 feasibility study. And I thought I'd have it in my hands and be able to release it at the AGM. But believe me, if you really want to see disorder, just put 2 mining engineers in a room. If you got 6 or 7, it's total chaos. Not on the actual result, but on minutia. There is no nit too small to pick. So that holds up everything. It's due. It should be in people's hands soon. I think that the market and the company have no relationship whatsoever. And I don't think that the things that have been said by some, not one of them has been correct. And I don't understand why people still believe them.
Well, I was going to mention, Jim, I for one, truly look forward to seeing the feasibility study because the biggest troll knock has been TRX has no gold.
That is beyond, that is the most ridiculous thing that could ever be said. Or they say we have poor quality gold. Who knows? Read the 43101s that are out there, and as a new one comes, project specific, enjoy yourself. It is in English. You can read it.
Right.
It's hyperlinked to our site.
Well, with that said, Jim, why don't we wrap it up, and we'll do this again. We still got, like I said, I think we got 250 to 300.
Yeah, it was fun, and the questions I got to tell you that they were publicly interesting questions. Some were of a very high level, and some were things people needed to know.
Right.
You wasted no time, Bill, in your selection.
Well, and I didn't even have to gong you.
Yeah, but what we're suggesting is a bell, cowbell. Go steal a cowbell.
Yeah.
Well, you would steal anyway. Leave a few bucks, grab the cowbell. And if I hear you ring it, I'll shut up.
Well, Jim, you have a great weekend.
I will.
Appreciate you doing this, and God bless our listeners. We'll get this out. Hopefully, it's out late today, early tomorrow, Sunday, so you got some weekend, something to listen to over the weekend. And I've got an article that should be out late this afternoon, early tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and it's really not bad. The Pope will be chasing him. He'll just send a whole bunch of Monsignors to chase him. Okay?
Yeah, I specifically was not insulting toward the Pope.
Of course you weren't. You wouldn't be, and it would be nuts to be. But if something has happened, and it is reported in respectable, your raw news, got to think about it.
Exactly.
You know?
All right, Jim. Well, you have a great weekend.
Listen, I'll carry on, folks, if we lose Bill. Okay, a billion Catholics looking for Bill is going to be something to see.
Take care, Jim.
You'll see that beautiful horse moving real fast into the sunset.
Yeah, exactly.
And there'll be a new address, if Rachel, care of the Badlands.
I'll be with my bug-out bag, Jim.
Hey, listen, anybody who doesn't have it's a dope. Okay? That means you're never going to have a catastrophe. That means your house isn't going to start going down a hill. It means your house will never burn down. My God.
No,
are you covered by the Almighty?
It just means that you've taken your bug-out bag and you're fleeing. It doesn't mean your house is not on fire, because I've had that happen.
Well, what if you didn't have what if you didn't have it in the house and you ran out of the house in your skivvies? Who's going to be there to give you a pair of jeans?
Almost did that.
Yeah, but who's going to be there to give you a pair of jeans?
Nobody.
Don't count on the Red Cross.
Yeah, no, nobody.
Nobody. You're on.
Right.
You are, sir, on your own. If it's before dinner and you're starving to death, not good timing.
You're 100% right, Jim. I lived it.
Well, you've been through the real thing, so you know how sane it is to do this and how not sane it is not to do it.
Right. Yeah, there's no reason not to.
No, can't lose. You don't have a tin hat. Don't tell anybody, and they won't make fun of you.
Well, I do have a tin hat, but don't tell anybody.
Well, it's a black hat, okay.
You take care, Jim.
I sure will. Have fun now, Bill, and we'll do this again next week.
All right.